Jagex have released their biggest spoiler yet for old school RuneScape's most popular and upcoming game mode, Deadman Apocalypse. What's the spoiler, you may ask? Well, they've managed to spoil some of the sigils that are going to be releasing on Friday when Deadman Apocalypse goes live. And just for you guys, before we get into the video, I'm going to give you a spoiler of one of them, which is the Sigil of the Lightbearer. With these sigils, we won't know exactly what they do, but we have the names, we know what tier they are, and we know what type they are. So based off of that, we can give a pretty good guess. But first, let's whiz right through what we already officially know, and then we'll get on to the good stuff. Starter sigils. When you spawn in, you can choose between one of three sigils. These are the same as Deadman Reborn, except this time, they won't be coming with the XP multipliers like they did before. First of the three starter sigils is the Sigil of the Ruthless Ranger, which gives you a 10% chance to cripple your opponent's movement, dealing 5 damage over the next 6 seconds, draining 30 run energy, and doubling that damage if your opponent has no run energy. So if you're 1 agility, you might want to do some rooftops next time, because see and Lumbie, mate. The Sigil of the Feral Fighter gives you a 10% chance to set your attack speed to 1.8 seconds for the next 3 attacks within the next 12 seconds. Yeah, it's a lot, but basically just means that slow weapons that are high hitting like the Osmumtum's Fang, those are going to be OP as hell. Finally, the third of the start sigils is the Menacing Mage, which gives you a 20% chance to curse your target. The curse deals 12 damage over the next 6 seconds, and it also heals you for the same amount, so who needs food, by the way? At this point, you're probably like Majin Buu, frustratingly waiting to battle when he's fighting Piccolo.
No, it's only been 30 minutes.
Well, wait no more, let's get on to the good stuff. Tier 1 Combat Sigils. The Sigil of the Lightbearer. Just when we thought having the most overpowered ring in the game was not enough, we have a sigil to use along with it. If this one works just like the ring, it's going to be so overpowered, we're going to be seeing Karasis flying at you left, right and centre, mate. Sigil of Resistance. This one's a combat sigil, but since Jagex mentioned they'll be releasing sigils that give greater defense boosts, I think it's fair to say this one will either give some juicy defense bonuses or provide some sort of effect that will help you
survive the Deadman Apocalypse.
Anyway, onto some tier 1 skilling sigils. Sigil of the Abyss gives you 10 times runes when rune crafting. That's going to be massive money. This one's a good money maker. Sigil of Agile Fortune gives you 10k alongside each mark of grace when you're doing rooftops. This is going to be better money than Agility Pyramid, so if you're creating an alt that's going to do agility for money, try and get this sigil and it will be better money for sure. I can't help myself but laugh in the next two. Whoever made these was literally starving. The Sigil of the Food Master and the Sigil of the Well-Fed. Like what? I reckon the Food Master is going to be never burning food, and the Well-Fed sigil is going to be something that maybe heals you periodically, or maybe it has like a higher baseline HP above your current one. Something like how like an anglerfish would work, for example. But I'm not too sure on these ones, so drop a comment below and I'll come back on Friday to see who was closest to the guess. Sigil of the Alchemaniac. This one's got to be a boost to alchemy in some way, maybe giving greater cash returns per alch or speeding up the animation so you can alch more per hour. Sigil of Hoarding. That just sounds like a ring of wealth, but maybe for items. Maybe you can automatically pick up items like over the threshold. This one sounds like another food sigil. The Sigil of Sustenance. Like someone at Jagex need to eat some food. He sat there hungry, starving, making sigils about his unhealthy working habits. I'll be honest, I don't know what this one could be, so let me know any ideas. And now that we're past the tier 1 sigils, let's go on to the tier 2s. This will make it a bit more interesting. Precision. This is definitely a combat sigil, so it has to be some sort of baseline accuracy boost to combat in some way. Probably a very good sigil. Alright, now this one is the most OP sigil they've released. The Augmented Thrall. The max hit of Summon Thralls is increased by 3 times, so instead of hitting 3s, you'll be hitting 9s against NPCs and bosses, basically any PVM. Can't see where you wouldn't have this on at all times, like even slaying, bossing, bursting maniacal monkeys, even with the 50% nerf to drops. Having this in combination with some other sigils is going to be insane. I reckon this one's going to go for at least 500k, if not a mil plus. Very overpowered. Okay, on to the tier 2 skilling sigils. Sigil of the Hunter, pretty self-explanatory. I reckon it's going to be a double yield to whatever you're hunting, so it's going to be huge for chins. Since Overlord sweats like me and you love to chin our range up to 99. Yes, I'm looking at you, son. Now we've got two which are fairly similar. The Sigil of the Infernal Chef and the Infernal Smith. They definitely sound like they operate like the Infernal Axe and Pickaxe, but instead for cooking and smithing. So if you're a typical remote worker, you'll be sat there pulling cooked sharks from the depths of the sea, magically mining runite ores directly into bars to sell rune skimmies to all those mid-game peasants just like yourself for money. Finally, we have two really interesting tier 2 utility sigils, just by their name, Bloodhound and Faith. I'm thinking Faith sounds like some sort of linked prayer. I think it's going to be some sort of passive prayer restore. Bloodhound could be really overpowered. I don't know why, it just sounds like it'd be an overpowered sigil. Maybe it'd be like a siphon of blood, like a blood barrage would do. Maybe give a chance to restore some health back with every hit. Bit like a blood shard? I don't know. Definitely intrigued by this one. I reckon this is going to have some sick power with it. Now on to what you've all been waiting for, the tier 3 sigils. Starting off with Titanium. That's gotta be a massive defense boost to counter sigils like Rampage and Aggression. It's definitely going to work even better now that Rampage was nerfed to only 2% damage per Rampage count. I think they'll make this a reduction to damage, not necessarily accuracy, so it might be like a Elysian Spirit Shield or Staff of the Dead, after you've used a special attack. Definitely think this one's going to be the one to go for. Sigil of the Ninja. This one sounds proper cool. I don't know what it does, but my hope, my guess is that it's like an evade style sigil, where you can teleport around like an abyssal demon. You know how abyssal demons like bounce around you and it's real annoying. I feel like that would be sick to confuse your enemies. Yeah, I really doubt Jagex could do that. I don't know if you ever played Halo or Call of Duty. Those games have like the thruster dash, and then you've also got the dolphin dive from Call of Duty, so everyone loves that, right? Lastly, we have a tier 3 skilling sigil called Woodcraft. Has to be some sort of combination sigil, probably helps gathering and production skills like woodcutting, fletching and crafting. We'll just have to see what this one does. So that wraps it up for the sigils that were leaked that we know of. But there's a new addition to Deadman this time, which is called Trinkets. They're like sigils, but instead you activate their effects from your inventory. And it doesn't use one of your 3 equipped sigil slots, so this is really powerful to use. My guess is there's going to be 3 tiers of these, just like sigils, because Jagex teased 5 trinkets so far, and they mentioned that 4 of them are tier 2, and 1 of them is tier 3, so there must be a tier 1 trinket. So for the tier 2s, one of them is the Trinket of High Alchemy, that allows you to high alch without runes. So this is going to be really useful for if you're not on the normal spellbook. This is pretty much a must for Slayer if you want to make money. Trinket of the Fairy, this one's another one from Leagues. You can use this to teleport to any fairy ring or spirit tree as long as you've unlocked the destination. Obviously that means you can't just teleport to TOB if you haven't unlocked Night at the Theatre, for example. Trinket of Vengeance, this is overpowered as hell. You can use this while being on Ancients and without needing to be on Lunas. It's going to be so useful for PKing and anti-PKing. Freeze, Venge, Karasi, See Your Mate. The big meta for DPS is going to be the Trinket of the Undead. You can summon a 30-second thrall without any requirements, so you don't have to have the Book of the Dead quest done. If you couple this trinket with the Sigil of the Augmented Thrall, which we talked about before, You're going to be hitting 9s every few seconds against NPCs without even having the requirements for it, and PvM encounters like raids and bossing are going to be insanely quick to farm rare loots. Last but not least, there's a one-time use trinket, which is a tier 3. This is received solely from breaches. It's called the Trinket Advanced Weaponry. Activating this gives you a random corrupted weapon, which is a weaker variant of some of the strongest weapons in the game. This is going to be the meta for early game, but I'll be honest, the main variants are going to be flying into the game so fast with the use of these sigils and trinkets that the corrupted weapons will literally become redundant, like within a few days. So picture this, imagine being able to summon thralls to kill bosses like Bandos whilst ice barraging PKers only to turn around and one-tick vengeance a karate spec to that fool's forehead, and then disrespecting his remains by high-alking his items over them. So many items are going to be coming into the game that everyone and their nan is going to be running around with Tumican shadows, fangs, and twisted bows in max gear. Sounds absolutely crazy, right? Well, I'm all here for it till I die to one of you sweaty Neanderthals. Okay, that wraps the video up. If you're interested in more, then catch me live on Friday the 25th of August at 5 PM on twitch.tv/mujinboo. I'm going to be running through my strategy for Deadman Apocalypse on there. Also, please like, subscribe, and share this video out. I'm looking to grow quickly and would really appreciate bringing you guys along the way. No more waiting. The Deadman Apocalypse is here. Mujinboo out.